here to help start the program. I've been a preschool director for private, public, and other Catholic schools. I worked for the Department of Ed for about 15 years. I was nominated in 2020 for the Preschool Director of the Year by the Department of Ed. And so this is kind of my background. And I've also taught elementary school, kindergarten, 5th grade, and ELL. So what I would like to do is just to get into the quick about our philosophy. And our philosophy is going to be very, very simple. We want the preschool to be part of the family in the church. And we want the parents to be involved and have the parents be able to have the family be in a partnership with education along with the development with God. Our program goals are, and most of this I'm just going to breeze through it so y'all can read it later at your own time. With program, we want children to be critical thinkers. We don't want them to just repeat something and memorize. And critical thinking is a very a concept that you learn, and as they age, you get stronger and stronger with it. We have preschool curriculum, and our curriculum is state-based in that the Department of Michigan asked that all very highly qualified preschools follow a preschool curriculum. So the one that we picked was creative curriculum, which has a little bit of a Montessori to it, and also a lot of critical thinking. And when we do meet for curriculum night, we go over in detail exactly what it is. But if you want to look up creative curriculum online, you can see it. There's 5 platforms for our teachers that introduce all of our learning concepts in school. Our first is play, experience, and learning centers. I can't emphasize this enough. This is probably the most important, where the children learn conflict and resolution, or they learn empathy, they learn critical thinking, how to get along with others. We do planned whole group experience. When children do whole group, it's based on their ability to sit still. And you usually start out very, very small, like 1 or 2 minutes, sometimes with the littler ones. And then we keep growing with it to make us stronger. So that way, when they go to elementary school, they're really good at it. Our teacher guided large area games, such as, gym and music. We do that because it also teaches the children how to stay focused and to listen in large groups. We do transitions, which and the children learn what is expected and kind of like a planning for them, and they know what comes up. We do it with different activities, and it also helps with children to get very anxious when they don't know what's going to go on. And we do cooperative learning groups, and that's where we break our children in for their learning of their academic things such as math, writing, language art, and it's small groups, like about 2 to 4 children, and it's based on their abilities. Their math is, this little boy here is Ilias, and Ilias always was into cars. So you want to make sure that they're in play. They have no idea they're learning. And so for him, he enjoys cars. So we are on the floor, we play games, we do additions, we do 10 frames, and we use manipulatives the children like. Right here is a quick thing you can look over later. This is the concepts that we want to hit for math before children go to kindergarten. And each child can start at a different level. We base our learning strictly on the child, not by their age. So if you have one child might start at concept 2, another child might be all the way at concept 5. And language art is the same thing. You base them, you do each unit, you do an evaluation where they're at and know where to start. Our language art, and a lot of parents ask, how do you teach how to read? And language arts, we teach first by a letter sound, and we say ka. Ka has a name, and it's C as in cookie. And once they get that, there's right here, there's their group. So the first group is CMAT, and they can start to put words together. And then as they grow, they'll start learning all of them. Sometimes it takes them a year just to get 2 sounds, but once they do, they grow from there. We follow Lakeshore's reading books, and this is when the children know their phonics sounds, then they go right into reading, and the books are very easy for the children to learn, and there's like 60 books, so they can even finish. We've had some finish the whole entire thing before they go to kindergarten. Writing is another important concept in preschool. And again, it's one of those things that some people don't understand is they have to have strong fine motor skills. So we do many activities for fine motor and to get them stronger for the writing. We start our writing with learning to do, we start our writing with learning to do straight lines and X's and circles. So they get the concept of holding the pencil and learning to get to fine motor. We follow the curriculum called Learning Without Tears. It's in most elementary schools. And we use MapMan. And MapMan is good because it shows how to draw like circles and straight lines. And it also teaches writing as they do labeling. They label what they draw. Our themes that we do in the school is based on project-based learning. And project-based learning is a concept where the children are very involved in it. So they might have an idea and they want to know something. So then we realize, well, what do you know about this subject? What do you want to know? And at the end of the unit, we write what they've learned. So for instance, I put one down that we did with the classroom last year was they did a project-based learning on plants, their life cycles, and their products. So the children always start by introducing the concept. In this one, we went to a field trip to a farmer's market. And then we made our chart all about the plants and the parts that you could eat and what they would like to try. And then we introduced the project, which was learning about the plant and what could be ate, the seeds, the flowers. And we do sketches, and the children do a lot of labeling. And so over here, this was their labeling, and they work on it and they add to it. It's not just like one day. Usually it's a 2-week concept. And then we do a reflect and extend, which we bring it back. And then we talked about and sorted the food that we got into the right categories. And we always try to tie in our project base from the previous one, just to remember they had a grocery store, so they wanted to bring it outside and do their own market. And at the end, the children decide of a celebration wrap up. So they decided they wanted to have a tasting party, and they picked all the foods and they had a tasting party. So when it's finished, they all have a writing. And when they first start writing, they might just have 1 or 2 words they dictate to us. And then as they get older and they get writing, and sometimes we were writing for 3 pages on the writing. So, and the project-based learning, I would like to emphasize a lot is that it is child-driven. It is what is their interest, and then we take that and make our lesson plans into it. The art we have at school is what we call open-ended art, meaning the children, again, make their own decisions. They decide what they want to use, if they want to put paint out for the day, if they want to color, if they want to make different objects, do it outside. In this one, music, we love music because we know that music helps with math skills, with motor skills, with language art. We also use it a lot when we're teaching a second language. We are going to introduce a second language, and we do this because children from 0 to 4, they pick up so much faster if they hear the second language. And we do it with repetition, with songs, with stories, and transitions, and we will try to incorporate as much as we can. Over here, we do put our repeat read out louds. And what a repeat read out loud means is when you use the same story and you read it in different ways so the children understand it more, get more out of the vocabulary and the meaning. So the first time might be just read straight up, right? A Bible story right out of the Bible. Second time might be we make puppets to go with the story. Then the children can act it out. Then they, can tell us in their own words how the story was. And usually it's roughly around 3 to 5 times you repeat the same story. Our daily schedule, I put up there for you guys to look at. The times we put down is 8:45 to 11:45. Again, As the preschool the parents that want to be involved, we can discuss times. Right now, this year, our goal is a part-time 3-hour preschool. And then our goal is to move it to an all-day preschool also for next year. We do have large group time. We have our center time and small group learning is in this time. You always want to have at least 1 full hour for the student to play. Yet they're pulled in their small groups during this time to do their language art, math, or writing. You have bathroom and snack, and bathrooms, because the bathrooms are not in the classroom, the teachers will bring them to the bathroom. If they have to go to the bathroom anytime during the day, there will be someone to bring them to the bathroom. Whoops. And back there was project-based learning. And our closing will be the Bible time and closing, and the children will tell you what they did about the day. Usually we put up on our message board every day, ask me about my day. So on that, we usually put like 2 or 3 questions you can ask them about their day. We put what book they read, a couple questions to ask, because most preschools, if you say, hey, what did you do in preschool today? They'll say nothing, or they'll say, I played with the truck, So we always want to have a lot of communication with the parents, and that way they know what their children did for the day. There's a few questions that we had in the past that I'm just going to throw out there is, one of them always is, do they have to be potty trained? We ask that they are, but if they're not quite there, they can wear a pull-up to school, and then we'll just keep, the process going. Some other questions were, the tuition price. Right now we have the tuition price, it is a nonprofit preschool, meaning that every expense we have is how we figure out the tuition. There's no profit to be made. It was 5 days is $400, and 2 days is, I can't remember.
It was I think it was 160 for 2 days.
And 3 days was
like 240, 280, something like that.
240, I think. Yeah, that's right, 240. And so you have your choice of a Tuesday, Thursday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or a 5-day. We want it to be what we call a highly qualified preschool. And that means that the teachers are well trained, they get professional development, they have experience, or we train them, they have college, they have gone to college. And it's important that, and then the director has to be certified also with a BS degree in early childhood. So I'm trying to think of all the questions we had before. So I think that is what.
Does anybody have any questions or anything they would like to know more about? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, just unmuting. The prices were you had just spoke about, Father Rodney. Those were weekly?
No, monthly.
Those are monthly.
Yeah.
So if you picked, let me clarify, we picked the 4 or 5 days. You could do 5 days, you said, at half days, right?
Right, 3 hours.
So 3 hours, 5 days a week. A month, it would be 400.
Right.
Yeah, give or take. It might be a little more, a little less, depending on, because we don't have the exact budget set. This is just kind of like an estimated budget. There may be other expenses.
We'll be in that ballpark.
It'll be in that ballpark.
Yeah.
What we do for your tuition is, unlike other places, is we say, okay, what do we have to pay a teacher? What do we have to pay for insurance? You have to cover insurance for each child and for the staff. As far as liability insurance, what do we need for supplies? And then that's what we build it on. The nice part about the church is they're going beyond, which, because I've set up Catholic preschools before, and the church had us charge a rent, to them. Now we don't have to do that. So our whole goal is to bring it down to the very minimum, so you can have a high qualified, preschool and be still part of your parish.
Okay, thank you.
And there's your cute baby.
He just woke up from a nap, so. All right, well, thank you guys. I appreciate it. I'll let anybody else ask questions.
Thank you.
So we have a question here. I guess, is there a ratio for teacher to students? that
Yeah,
you-
there is. What we do is we do 2 teachers with no more than 16. It's the ratio is like really, it's kind of high. It's like 1 teacher to 12 for the state ratio, but we do 1 to 8. So we don't want, the philosophy behind it is like some schools I know do 24 in a classroom. And I personally have never liked it because children play off each other. The smaller the classroom size, the better the students do on conflict resolution. If there's too many kids, they get overwhelmed. So we keep it below state ratio at no more than 16 to 2 teachers.
Okay.
That-
And is there I guess, for example, I mean, I'm sure you'll give us some information about the registration, but is this guaranteed to start, or you have to have a certain number of students for the program to start?
Our goal is, like we'd like to have 3 classrooms, but if we have to start with 1, we'll start with 1. But for sure, we'll start with at least 1 classroom, and then, because, your first year, it's hard, especially with COVID, it's very, very hard. Like, honestly, I've never done it like this. I always have done it where my classroom is set up and my parents come in and we meet and I take them on tours, things like that when we start a new preschool. So COVID makes it a little harder, but we're starting the licensing, and then we want to get the room set up by, our goal is to have the room set up by April or May. And that way the parents can come in with their children, get used to it. I like it when the children can come in with the parents before school starts quite a bit, so they feel comfortable, where they're at. But yeah, so there for sure will be 1 classroom for sure. Our goal is for 3.
Okay. Sorry, I have one more question.
Sure.
You mentioned the Montessori education. What would you estimate the Montessori to be, like 50% of the curriculum, or?
So
less?
how creative curriculum is, okay, so it's kind of broken down like this. We do, the project-based learning is more creative curriculum. That's where the children take the initiative and make decisions. Now in Montessori, they do the same thing, project-based learning. But when it comes to language art, because I have studied and worked with University of Michigan, I worked with other countries, Montessori phonics is the easiest way for me to teach the children how to learn phonics, to go into reading. And what I always like is, I like my children to start kindergarten being at the top, because they get a little overwhelmed. There's a lot of people. So if they go in the classroom feeling like they're, achieved and they're smart, they always do better because they have confidence. So we follow Montessori, I would say 100% on language arts, because we never say, this is letter C. It sounds funny when people come in, where he says the ka, where's the ka, and its name is C. And because when children learn letters, they're just names, but they have to get the sound. So we do follow Montessori 100% on your language art. And as far as math goes, we do follow a lot of it, but we also add 10 frame. And, I'd go into it more when, it's curriculum night, what a 10 frame is, but that kind of goes into the elementary school. So we kind of base it on, we want them to walk into kindergarten, no matter where they go, and have the basics down and be able to just take off. But as far as reading goes, most all my children that we had 3 years in a program, they always are reading before going to kindergarten, and probably about usually a year ahead. They're usually like mid first grade to end of first grade levels.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
With no pressure though. We don't ever push, it's the child, you make it fun. Anything you make fun, a child wants to do. If you don't make it fun, they won't be interested.
That's true.
Reem, you have a question?
Yeah. Hi, a couple questions. So you answered my question about the class sizes and the teacher to student ratio, but how will the classes be divided? Because if there's like 2.5-year-olds, 3-year-olds, or 4-year-olds, do you divide it by age or?
Well, here's what our goal is. Our goal is 3 classrooms, and the first one would be 2.5, 3.5. The second one would be 3.5 to 4.5, and the third one would be 4.5 to 5.5. So say you have a 2.5-year-old that you say, oh, their language skills are pretty high, their playing ability is pretty high. You would have that option to say, I'd rather them be in, a 3.5. I'd rather them be in 3.5 to 4.5. Or you say, I'm more comfortable in the 2.5 to 3.5 classroom. So we kind of give it a little bit of a leeway there, but we do have about 2 age groups, 2.5 and 3.5 in each one, and 3.5, 4.5, 4.5, 5.5. So you get a little bit of Montessori in it, but you also get some traditional in it.
Okay, so is that something that the parents will say, okay, I want to put my child in this age range classroom, or okay?
Because parents know their children the best, like
Right.
they know, like I always tell people, like say they because a lot of children have anxiety today because we're always pushing the children, and so I try to take the pressure off because I also have a child psychology degree. So what my goal in life is, what I try to explain to parents is, if we take pressure away, the children do so much better academically and everything. So I try to take pressure as much as I can away. And how we do it is, like, if I have a child that has anxiety, which a lot of children have anxiety, then I say, okay, let's make them feel, put them in the younger one, so they have that confidence that they're helping someone. And, it gives them it takes away a lot of their anxiety than if, say, you put them with an older one. And then you have ones that have a lot of older siblings, and they're like, I don't want anything to do with these younger ones, So.
All right. Okay. And then where are these classes going to be held? In the basement, like in a closed setting, or is it going to be like in the larger area and they're just split into groups?
So we're going to utilize the entire basement. But if you're familiar with the basement, you know how we have those newer classrooms?
Right.
So for like the learning and the education, we'll get those newer classrooms used for the students. And then the other classrooms, we'll use them for like large group things, like if we need an art room, or if we need like a music room or whatever, we can use those as other classrooms.
Yeah, we
Okay.
want to kind of have a music room and a large motor room and an art room. So they have that ability to do a little bit of a transition of going from one to another, but and also it helps you a lot on like equipment. So we don't have to buy 3 classrooms of, large motor, things from a balancing beam, things like that. We can emphasize it in one room.
Okay. And then my other question is, when would like the start and end date be for the preschool, and then when would enrollment?
We follow the school system's dates. So preschool starts in September, and we have them in May instead of like the second week in June, like some schools do.
Okay.
And so we start in May, like right after the holiday. Usually we do with preschool, we have a tendency to wait 1 or 2 days, just because when parents have one in elementary, we like them to have that day to get them in school, and then the next day is preschool. And as far as it goes on, and then if you want a summer preschool, like I've set up many programs, because parents will be like, well, can we do like 4 weeks or 6 weeks? And again, when you're on the committee, the parent involvement committee, that's a choice that you guys will make. Go say, hey, we still want a summer program and you can.
Okay. And then when are you guys planning to start enrollment for this?
We'll probably start in the next, what do we think, Father, I mean, the next couple of weeks, put out, get the sheets out. And we'll start with the state licensing next week. What I do is I contact the state, and then I will get the licensing going, and then there's a packet I have to fill out, and then we have to get things like the furnace checked, and they come in and they check all the things for safety, and then we set up the classrooms.
Okay. And then my next question is, so you said they'll start in September, but did you say that like this May we could come in and like get to know the teachers and talk to people?
Yeah, definitely. Well, like if we start September, my goal would be that we get our staff, and a lot of times I usually ask, for a few parents to be on my committee, to when you do like Father Rodney and I and a couple parents, and we, pick which ones that we think would be the best, because, parents should be involved. And then definitely we would want our staff picked out. And I like it when, the children have a chance to meet, and we can have open house and maybe a little, a couple social activities. I sometimes now, I personally would do like some read out louds with the children, and it, you know, it all depends who is you know, like to come with the parents, and they just have a story, and then they just get a little comfortable, because I think it's very, very, again, this comes with my background in psychology. I don't like pressure put on children. I don't want to have a preschool where the first day is their first time of meeting that teacher, because that's a lot of anxiety. So I
Right.
always try to build a relationship before the first day of school.
Okay, yeah, I would like that. And then, sorry, my last question is, do you guys have your teacher selected yet? Or, and then if you do, like what kind of certification or early childhood training do they have?
So
Or like
right
years?
now, we haven't hired anyone because of the reason of cost, you know. So
Okay,
if you hire someone, you got to pay them. For me, I'm free,
Right.
you know.
okay,
So Father Rodney and I, we're free, you know. So that's the beauty about us. So we don't cost anything. So
okay,
with us, you know, like what we want to do is you want them high qualified. You want your lead teachers to have experience, and you want your lead teachers to have degrees, and because you need teachers that understand how to be calm, you need teachers to understand to reflect, you need we'll work on finding a director. And like I said, I worked for the Department of Ed for 15 years doing professional developments and training. I am more than happy, you know, this is my son's family's parish, and so that makes it my parish too, because we're very to his family. And to go in there and work and volunteer and make sure everyone's trained correctly, and we have a good staff.
okay. And then, sorry, I joined the meeting a little bit late. So what is your company that you're helping to like initiate this program?
What is what now?
Is it like a company that's helping to develop this program, or?
Oh, no, it's just Father Rodney and I.
Oh, okay.
We're the company.
Okay.
No, what it is there was a need. And so there was a need that parents wanted in the parish. And I personally, you know, my son went to our parish's preschool, and I love that when the children are involved, because then they're involved in the church, you know, and it's important that the younger generation, we want them to be involved in the church, and because they're working or busy. And so by having the preschool, it's another building block of, you know, building a relationship.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much for answering my questions.
Sure. And if you have any other questions, but, you know, email me.
I will. Thank you. What's your email?
I think it's Father Rodney.
It's preschool@stccc.org.
preschool@stc.org.
No, there's 3 C's, so it's S.
I just put it in the chat, Reem, if you want to look at it.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Amy, you have a question?
Hi, yes, I do. Thank you. So currently my kids attend a Catholic school, and my two youngest are in preschool. Actually, my very youngest will start preschool with them this fall, and I was interested in the St. Thomas preschool because I wanted him to have maybe a couple additional days where I can bring him on the days that he doesn't attend his current school that he'll be going to. My question was, as far as the language, you mentioned that the kids will be learning another language. I was curious if any of the Chaldean language was going to be incorporated.
That's what the language is. I'm sorry, I didn't explain that right.
No, that's okay.
Yeah, definitely it is. We're gonna do it with songs, with games, with I love when we do it and we have guest speakers, grandparents who speak, because a lot of times, like I don't know about, you know, I've been in churches and places where they didn't speak English, and then they feel really good that they get to come in and do, you know, and be part of it. So yeah, that is the language. I'm sorry, I didn't explain that.
No, that's completely okay. You're fine. Thank you. My other question was regarding you said that the parents know their children and they would be picking which classroom essentially they would be in. For example, my son is going to be 3 in October. So he would be considered what's called TOTS in his current school that he'll be going to. My concern about where the parents would pick where their kids would go is in the past with our school, there have been parents who pushed for their kids to be in a certain class, but they weren't technically
Right.
ready for that class.
Yeah,
and it
we have that all the time, trust me.
Yeah.
That's,
so
that's-
this would
and
be
again,
monitored.
yeah, it'll be monitored. And again, I will heavily emphasize my background in psychology is pressure has got to be taken away from these children. And
Yes.
I literally had one parent whose son was 3 and they kept saying they want him to go to the University of Michigan. And I was like,
Yes.
you're 3 years old. Let's just focus on potty training, you know?
Yes. So you get what
yeah.
I'm saying.
And we do it all in a very, very professional way. And
Mhm,
and some
mhm.
children, you know, like it really, really depends on social skills, you know, and
Yeah.
you don't want to put your child in some and push them when they're not ready. It's just not healthy, and it backfires on you. It really does.
This
So
is true.
so we have learned, and I understand, you know, I had a child, and you know, you worry a lot and you want the best for them, but I explain it to parents very clearly, and I'm very good at it about taking anxiety off children, you know,
Mhm, mhm.
that
Yeah.
children will be smarter and better if we just stop putting so much pressure on them.
True. Yeah. Yeah. And it ends up taking away from the students who are in the class, because
Right,
then you
right.
have, where essentially this one's
Well, what
acting like the
happens is
younger.
the child will have more conflict and resolution issues.
Yeah.
If you put them in a situation and they want a toy and the child is older and always taking it away from them, then they're
Yeah.
going to be angry, and then eventually they're going to bite or something. You know, because
This is very true.
so then if you put them in a situation where they're more at their level and they're playing together better, you take away a lot of conflict.
Yeah. Yes. And my third and final question that I can think of right now at the top of my head, my son has allergies. As far as allergies go, I know
Yeah.
it's not always the same with a private school or a Catholic school.
Well, here's the problem, because
yeah.
my background was my son had food allergies, so it was
Mhm.
just a nuisance, you know. So what I've done and I'm telling you, I have been in this for like 18 years. I haven't had 1 year where I don't have allergies, not one where a food allergy.
Mhm.
So I think the best bet today is that parents pack their own snacks. Because
Mhm.
even when I would tell my parents that every snack had to be packaged so we could read the ingredients, we were always frightened. I mean, I literally would get
Mhm.
scared sometimes, because we would just debate back and forth. Do you think this is, you know, they could have it? What if something happens, you know?
Sure.
And it's very frightening as a teacher, you know, that you put the child in a situation, and especially, you know,
Yeah.
like if they bring something in that they make and then the child gets upset when we can't, you know, offer
Mhm.
it. So what
Right,
I
right.
find the best is parents just pack their own little snacks for the children. Healthy
Right.
snacks is what we.
So yeah, if I may, just as far as like my experience goes with my son, he's contact reactive also, so he wouldn't
Okay.
be able to touch, so
Right.
the way that his
Is
school
it
does it
peanut
now.
butter or you know, like my
sorry.
son was peanut butter, you know.
Oh,
so
he's a lot of them. So,
no,
but
it's hard. And I had
yeah.
many of it. And what we do
Yeah.
a lot in that situation is we always have a clean table, and
Mhm.
then we let the child pick his partner and
Mhm.
check their snack, and then they're not allowed to sit at the same table. But
Right.
we
So my
want to
concern
make
is,
them feel like
yeah.
they can't
So
sit.
my concern is that he won't be 3 until October. It's kind of hard for their age. So the way that the school that he'll be attending does it is that preschool classroom won't
Yeah.
have his allergies in the room. And then the parent works with the school and the teacher, and they provide a list of snacks that are safe. And the way they did it in the past before COVID is every school day. So it'd be like 2 days a week, 3 days a week, whatever it's, the preschool that the kid is in currently. They pick a student, and then that student will bring a snack for the entire class, which is the same snack. And then
Right.
that would be a safe snack. Currently for COVID, the school is providing the snack. So I think for me as an allergy parent, that would be a much better option, to be honest with you. If that was the option rather than having him sit at a different
The only
table.
issue we might have with it
Mhm.
is that there's no kitchen area. So like, but so
Oh, okay. I
that
didn't
was
realize that.
just packaged and things like that would be okay,
Mhm.
you know, like, and you know, I've done it in the classrooms at the public school and the private school. And so everything has to be packaged. You
Yes,
know,
everything is
they-
packaged. Yeah.
Very, very picky today about it being packaged. So
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
that is what I did it, like my other one I did is we just took donations. So we put a list,
Oh, yeah.
you know, graham crackers, this, that, and parents that whenever we got low, they would send them.
That's perfect. Yeah.
But this is what you're saying is really beautiful because you would be on the parent advisory committee. You
Yeah,
know,
I
because you're an
I
expert,
do
you
stay
know.
involved. I
You've
have
got
4
the
kids and-
allergy child, you've got
Yeah.
older children, you've got it packed, you know.
Yes,
got it all
I
down, you know.
all 4 of my kids, you know, the fourth one rather, he'll be attending, like I said, this fall, but they've all been in only Catholic school their entire life.
Right.
And I'm very much involved, even before we had the, you know, the 4th one with the allergies. But yeah, everything is prepackaged. Now
Right.
with COVID, I will tell you, they don't let parents send in no snacks, like not even prepackaged snacks,
Right.
because of COVID, but it was
Right.
always like a
Yeah,
2-snack
because
option or
that's
whatnot.
the thing. There's a lot of changes that took place from COVID, you know.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
well, that is another thing, like when we get to that point, it's just like uniforms. Do you want uniforms or not wear a uniform? My
Right.
son wore a preschool and he went to Catholic preschool and elementary. He wore a uniform. I thought it was easy.
Oh.
I didn't have to think of what to
Yeah.
put on. But those are things that we can, you know, sit
Yeah.
down, have meetings. And because the difference between your church is that you run the preschool. You know, this
Yes.
is not a company, this isn't anything. And you sit down and we'll discuss it. And if it's, you know, and of course, we'll, you know, have feedback, this is the best interest or not, because, you know, you have some parents that don't understand how the preschool runs. But the committee is what helps. You want
Right.
to definitely be on the committee.
Thank you. I really appreciate you answering my questions, and I appreciate you, you know, listening to some of my suggestions. And
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
really looking forward. I'm happy to hear that the Chaldean language will be incorporated. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to, you know, consider having him come those other days also. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's the best time to learn it, you know, because
Yeah,
at home,
absolutely.
sometimes it doesn't, there's too much English around, you know.
Yeah,
Just way too
very
much.
true. Thank you.
Sure.
Lena, did you have a question?
Yeah, I might have missed it, but I just wanted to know a little bit because I had to step away for a moment. So I don't know if this was repeated, but is it going to be like a Montessori or is it going to be more structured?
It
of a
is,
Montessori?
the concept is going to be called creative curriculum. And creative curriculum takes what the child's interest is, like Montessori does. But in that Montessori is different, is it's every day is based on a child's, but with creative curriculum, you take their interest and then you bring information into it. And so you introduce information and then the children take off from that and they might go, it's like a web. They say, hey, we're interested in these plants. Like, can we eat them? And then you keep going from there. But you do have, with creative curriculum, you do have concepts. I have there are themes. I think I gave it to, we could put it up. Like, I know habitats is one, plants is one, bodies is one, learning about your heart, your lungs, your bones. But then in Montessori, they take just what they're interested in. So
Yeah, so it's going to be more structured,
it's
basically.
going to have some structure to it,
Okay.
but then it's 100% Montessori as far as learning how to read. We do
Okay.
follow the Montessori concept. So creative curriculum, I always tell people, is I look at it as it's like a little bit of the best world. You know, you have some of Montessori and then yet you don't, because in Montessori, it's all individual. In creative curriculum, you do have your individual and small groups, but then you still have, you do your project base, which is in a larger group. Because when you go to elementary school, you need to learn how to work in a larger group too.
That was my concern, just because I want him to have some kind of
Yeah,
structure to work in.
because your project-based learning is like, so you have 16 children in a classroom. And on that one teacher has 8, one teacher has 8, and you keep the same 8 through the whole unit you're studying. And they have to learn to take turns. And trust me, it's always like, teacher, 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 you know, and within time they learn that, you know what, they can ask their friend for help or they can figure it out themselves, you know, and then the teacher helps them. So we always try to get them to say, did you think about it? Did you ask a friend first? Okay, then you ask the teacher. And the whole concept for that is because of elementary. I taught elementary and it's very hard, teaching
Yeah.
kindergarten with 25 children and you're by yourself,
Yeah,
So,
one of my teacher friends told me that you need to have a little bit of structure because a lot of kids that come from Montessori don't know what to do when they're in the classroom with
They don't.
25 kids.
They don't
And
at
it
all.
gets hard.
No, that's
why I was
why I
concerned.
don't, the beauty is I've experienced in so many different kind of concepts, and my husband moved us around to different cities and states. So I've learned different ones, but my son went to Montessori, and it was not a good fit to go into kindergarten. And that's a lesson I learned, because he just couldn't understand why he had to work in groups, So
Yeah.
we do both. For small learning, for your math, your language art, children can't learn a concept with more than 2 or 3 in that, because you're going over the letter sounds and counting. You can't do it a whole group. But that's only 15 minutes out of the day, it's small group, individual. The rest of the time, everything you do is learning how to work as a group. How do we do this together? How do we make choices together? How do we take care of our friends? How to showing empathy to each other, and things like that.
And are you going to be part of the program even when you do find like an advisor, everybody? So
for
you're going to
sure.
be part of it.
I told Father Rodney I'd be more than happy to be part of it. I can help with training. Right now, I'm not working. I don't know if I'm going to work again, So I do like volunteering a lot because it's a lot easier,
Yeah.
But yeah, so right now I used to do a lot of professional developments for teachers for Eastern Michigan. And so what I would do is, help with the lessons and help with the curriculum. I did curriculum writing for years and things like that. But yeah, for sure. I'd be more than happy to stay on and volunteer and help out.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Sure.
A couple other questions, Peggy. Are we able to accommodate children with special needs?
Yes, it all depends also on if they need an aid, then we can go through their public school and request one with an IEP. And if it's and I tell parents this all the time with private schools, I look at it and I assess it and I decide, can we give them all their things that they need to make them be successful, or are they better in the public school where they have a full staff psychologist, a full staff a social worker, and so we sit down with them. But I do never want children to go to school thinking that if they have anything, any IP or anything, that's the way they're going to go to school their whole lives. Everybody's going to be different.
And then will uniforms be required, or is there a specific dress?
That again will be up to the parents. We'll have a committee with that and make a decision. I personally like uniforms, but that's me because it's one less fight to get ready in the morning, but completely up, the parents will make the choice on that.
And then how will they join the parent committee if they want to join?
We will put it up and then anybody wants to do it. And how we will do it for now is we'll probably meet through Zoom like once or twice a month. I would say every other week. And then when school goes, how I always have it is once a month, we have a meeting, a PAC meeting. Usually, before COVID, we always did it in person. We would just meet and like if parents worked, we try to rotate the PAC meetings. Like 1 month I would do it at 6 because it's hard for teachers to do, they're tired. And the next month we would do it like right after school. So we try to make it so working parents do not feel left out and other parents can go right after with their children.
Are there any other questions? Okay. I do want to follow up on one quick thing. So I know we talked about, and there was a couple questions about part-time, and some other people have been asking about full-time and why we can't do it. And we are looking into that in the future, maybe within a year or two. We're hoping to have the ability to do so, but being full-time requires a playground and some other stuff. So we're looking into it, but as of right now, just for this year, it will have to be part-time.
Yeah, and I told Father Rodney too, is like, when your first year of starting the preschool, you want to kind of like make it simpler, so, everything goes a little smoother, and then the second year you'll be pros.
And then we
Okay, with
did,
that, do we have any other questions? Okay, as Father Rodney mentioned and Peggy mentioned, if you do have any other questions, the email is in the chat window. There'll be also probably another email going out to all of you who are interested. The email's right there, preschool@stccc.org. You can just send that to Peggy. Will receive those questions. She can answer them as needed. If that's all for tonight.
And yeah, anytime, you guys, and if anybody needs anything, I'm more than happy.
and we did record this, so if people want to see it, we could send them out the link, just have them reach out to us.
Okay, and thank you, Nora.
Thank you.
And
All right,
Father
everybody.
Rodney.
Thank you. All right, everybody. Thank you very much. Have a blessed night, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.